right. Let's see. Did we get it working? Moment of truth. Stop it. There we go. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Look at this. Look at us. Look at us here. Just hanging out. I exist, you exist. It's a great day to exist. Well, we'll see. Maybe it is. It's always a great day to exist, but we'll see how my playing goes. I got some stiffo fingers. Greetings, homies. If you see me looking over here, I've got my computer over here, so I'm kind of like bouncing back and forth. Camera, computer, camera, computer, camera, computer. So we will get rolling on everything here in just a minute. So we'll get all the plugs out of the way if you want. That my new guitar course, Rock Guitar Essential Sequences. This is the final day. You probably got an email about it yesterday. This is like final chance to get it at the 50% off. That is linked down below in the description. It's pinned in the comments, all that stuff. And I thought, why don't we just do a live clinic, give you guys a new sequence, even if you can't get the course, just hanging out, subscribing, all that stuff. I appreciate all the support with that. If you do have the course, the tabs for what I'm going to show you today are available in there. It's all the way at the bottom page. It just says live clinic. You can download the tabs. There's the PDF. And we'll get going on everything here in just a second. So, like I said, that's all linked down below. And a big old thank you to everyone who has checked out and gotten the course. I really, really do appreciate that. So the new course definitely worth $50. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is kind of like a surprise how much you guys have liked this course, because I think this is the course that I've seen more. Everyone's always been very positive about the courses, but this particular one, in the comment section of like all the videos, everyone's just been super, super pumped up about it. I was, like I said, when you do these particular types of courses, you never know if people are gonna like it or not. It was something that was very exciting to me when I learned it, this whole sequencing concept. And it was just littered with light bulb moments for me as a player. So I'm like, well, let's make a course, even if it doesn't do very well, hopefully it helps someone. And you guys have really, really been supportive of it. So thank you very, very much for that. So, like I said before, we will get going here in just a minute. We'll give it like 2 or 3 more minutes. If you already have the course, or if you want to snag it, it's linked down below. But if you already have the course, you can download the tabs for what I'm about to show you down below. I'm going to be using one of the backing tracks from the course, from the challenge section. Is the course good for beginners? Not, oh, hold on, let me go over here. Is the course good for beginners? Not quite intermediate. Yeah, actually, Red, you'll probably find examples 5 on the ascending and example 5 on the descending are going to be a little bit challenging. But overall, if you're a beginner into intermediate and you already have the pentatonic scale under your fingers, like if you think you could do that kind of stuff, there's lots of ideas in here. So maybe someone else who is at a similar playing level could chime in here if you have the course and let them know. Let Red know. I like the course, just need help building speed. Yeah, speed's always one of those things that you just want to approach it with real incremental, kind of like increases. So sometimes we try to jump too far, like even going like, 70 BPM to 75 is a pretty big jump. So make sure you're going from like 70 or whatever BPM you're doing to like 72. Make it real incremental. And also, it's really important when you're trying to work on speed to be mindful of how you're playing the notes. Like if you're sitting there going like this, are you playing quarter notes? Are you playing eighth notes? Are you playing 16th? Like there's so many different ways to play over something. I purchased your latest course. It's good and expanded really well. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, John. Hey, Krager, good morning. Love the concept and excited to dive into the course. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much, Krager. I always appreciate your support, man. Do Do I play BC Rich? You can play BC Rich if you want to. Is it like a gunslinger or something like that? Those are cool. Martin Murray says, what does he say? I'm sorry, the thing's moving. Curious to find out what is meant by sequencing. So sequencing, if you watch the original video I posted, called like The Legends Tricked Us or something like that, there's actually, I have a literal definition of sequencing, but basically it is just a pattern or a series of repeating notes that you're playing. So when we're sequencing something, like if you play a pentatonic scale, that's not really so much sequence, but if you go like this, you know, all the guys, Ace Frehley, Jimmy Page, you know, anyone you can think of, you know, of these iconic, you know, guitar players, they all use sequencing. I got an SG and Evelyn SG. Oh, awesome. Tobias, that is awesome, dude. Broken Explorer backing track was fun to jam on. You should do those more. Yeah, I probably will, Andy. Yeah, I loved seeing everyone's take on that one. So, so let's go ahead and dive into it. We got 150 people here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hey, someone just bought the course. Thank you. I didn't get to see who that was, but thank you very, very much. So we're going to dive into this one. I'll plug it one more time before we get into this. Today's the last day to get the new course, Guitar Essential Sequences, at 50% off. It's linked down below. If you already have it, if you've already purchased it, you can get the tabs for the live clinic today. They're all the way at the bottom of your course section, underneath the thank you, and then it says like live clinic tabs or something like that. You can download those if you want to. You have a PDF there for you. I'll get the Guitar Pro added a little bit later. So, so perfect. So here's what we're doing. So inside of the course, there is what I call the challenge section, where the majority of the course has all been key of E. You know, the first 10 examples are all key of E, including the turning the sequences into lick section. Now, I challenge you guys by giving you a third backing track that is out of the key of A. And I want you to, you know, transpose things down to the key of A. If you're unfamiliar with this, yeah, and like I said, and you have the course, just check out the key changing section that I added. So with this one, today's sequence, we are going to do it in 2 different ways. Now we are doing this all out of the key of A because I want you to use that over that third backing track that we have here. And I'll play it slow once for you, and you guys can let me know how the volume levels are here in just a second. So here's your backing track number 3 in the course. And the sequence. Now, a couple of tricky things are inside of this one that we're going to have to cover. But what we're going to do here in a second is we are going to turn this from a vertical lick into a horizontal lick, diagonal. I'm going to show you a really cool thing that you can do with your sequencing to add more mobility to it so it's not so boxy all the time. So with this one, we're starting out on 5th fret of the low E string. So this is box 1, A minor pentatonic. But of course, we're going to sequence it. So you're going to go 5 to 8 on the low E string, and then 5, 7 on the A. Get where I'm not so noisy. Okay? Now what's important to know is I'm grouping these, in my mind, in groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first group of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to reach back up with your pinky to 8th fret on the low E string. Okay? And then that's my group of, that's 1 note so far. Then I'm going to go 5, 7 on the A. And then my 4th note here is 5th fret on the D. Now that is 1 time through the sequence. So before you move on to anything else, if that part gives you trouble, sit there and cycle that one. Now I will add, I'm alternate picking all of this right now. it is actually not instinctive to me to pick all of these notes. There's a certain part where I would like to add a hammer on. Right there. Because I would do what's called economy picking. I would start on up, down, and I have 2 downs. Right there. So, you know. So my instinctual picking is a little bit different, but for now, let's just alternate pick everything because it'll just be good practice for me too, because obviously I need to work on it because it doesn't feel very comfortable. So I'm starting on the down, down, up, down, up, down, up, right there. Now here's where the first kind of tricky part of this sequence, and this is, like I said, if you have the course, get the tabs because this is a new sequence that is not anywhere in the course. You have to roll with your index finger to start the next sequence on the A, because we're just dropping it down a string each time. And if you guys have questions, after I teach this first sequence, I'll go through, answer a bunch of questions, just try to remember them. You can put them back in the chat, and I'll go back and hit everyone's questions. Okay? Now, I'm rolling my index finger up to 5th fret on the A. See how I was 5th fret on the D? I did not pick my finger up. I rolled it up. Okay? Okay, 5-7 on the A. 5-7 on the D. Now, I have to roll again with my ring finger. Now, I've seen some people ask a question about what rolling is. When I'm talking about rolling, what I mean is when my finger is on the string and I need to go to the same fret that is directly above or below the string that I'm on. So instead of picking my finger up off the fretboard, I kind of overshoot the string. So I'm letting the string fall on the flat of my finger. That way I can roll my finger up to the string above it, or I can roll my finger down to the string below it, so I don't have to pick my finger up. It makes you faster this way. Right there, see how I'm going 5-7 on the A, 5-7 on the D, and then I roll my finger back up to start the next sequence on 7. On that A string right there. If you want to see it kind of like close up, watch my ring finger here. I go. See how I just did a little rocking motion right there? A little rock and roll, no big deal. Now I go back to the D, it's 5-7, and then 5 on the G. So that is the same sequence moved down a string, and we're just adapting it to the way the scale naturally falls. So you've got right there. So the first one was rolling my index finger up to the A to start the next sequence, rolling my ring finger right there. So, and you want it to be smooth. You want it to flow across strings. You don't want it to be choppy unless that is intentionally what you're going for. So, and this is a more advanced one. You know, of the course, I kind of like stair-step the examples. Like the first one's kind of, you know, pretty easy to get under your fingers, and I wanted them to get gradually more difficult. This would be more around probably like example 5, and then, you know, example 5 in the course would now be example number 6. So this is definitely a later example. So if it gives you trouble at all, don't feel bad about it. It's a tough lick. Now remember where we left off. We left off on 5 on the G. Okay? Now what you have to do is we are going to always be rolling with our index finger. So if you're not used to this, get ready to get used to it because we do it the entire lick. But I'm also going to show you guys a trick to avoid it here in a second. So we ended that second sequence on 5th fret of the G. So let's kick off the next one by rolling our index finger back to 5 on the D, 5-7, 5-7 on the G. Now again, look how I overshot the string. Look at where that string is falling on my finger. I'm kind of flattening it to exaggerate the effect, but look at the string is in the middle of my finger, and I'm doing that because I know I have to roll my finger. rolling back up to get 7 on the D, and then 5, 7 on the G, 5 on the B. Okay? Okay, and you're just kind of sitting there. Hey-o, welcome. If you guys are just tuning in, I will be taking questions and all that stuff here after I finish this first sequence, kind of teaching it. If you are tuning in, because I'm seeing more people show up, if you have the course, snag the tabs in the live clinic section of your course. It'll make following along a little bit easier. So we've got 3 of the 4 sequence areas worked out. There's the first one. Second one. Third one. So we're going to roll with our index finger up again to get 5th fret on the G. Right there. Notice how I rocked my finger. 5, 7. Now here we're going to introduce our pinky because we have to follow the way the scale is laid out. 5, 8 on the B's. Now what's nice here is we don't have to roll with our ring finger anymore because we're using our pinky somewhere else. So our ring finger's free. 7 on the G, 5, 8 on the B, resolving it nicely to 5th fret on the high E string. So that whole last section went like this. Okay, so yes, there is a backing track. I will, if you have the course, it is backing track number 3 out of the key of A minor of the bonus challenge section inside of the course. So that's why we're doing this one out of the key of A, to give you another lick out of A. Everything else in the course is key of E, of course. Of course. So yes, the backing track is available, which I'll play it over here in a second because I want to show you how to practice this. Okay, so right there. Now that is all of the sequences out of box 1. Notice there was no hesitation, no pause, no uncertainty. I knew exactly where my fingers were going, and it should have sounded like one flowing transition, just kind of like falling through the strings is what we want. So if any of those threw you off a little bit, go back and hone in on what exactly is happening there with that transition. So I would guess that the double rolling that we have to do in the middle section might be challenging for some people. It's challenging for me, and that's the one that gave me the most trouble. Okay, so there's that one. Going nice and slow so we can see it easy. Thank you. Oh, no problem. Hey, Braxel. What's up, buddy? Find it difficult to speed up my pentatonic licks. But pentatonic licks can be difficult. One thing that's really nice is a lot of times pentatonic ideas are grouped in, even numbers, like 4. Like this one is 4, so. And you have to watch sometimes, because you can do your pentatonical, in groups of 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, through the scale, like triplets. You just have to really be mindful of how you're grouping your notes, and that's going to dictate the way that you build speed. Because there's the challenging thing when someone asks to build speed is there's like 1,000 different ways to build speed. Are you building speed with 8th notes, quarter notes, 16, all these different things. Are you doing triplets? Because triplets feel very different. If you go to example number 1 of the course in the ascending section, I do it up here in E, but it's that Ace Frehley lick. You think, what am I doing? I'm going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I'm doing groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But then there's other ones in the course where I'm going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All kinds of different kind of tucked away things inside of the sequences. I noticed you are hardly moving your fingers. Yeah, you don't need to lift your fingers up too high. It is actually a conscious effort that I've had to work on, because I used to just let my fingers really lift off the fretboard, and I had to actually work really hard at that. My fingers still move too much, especially my pinky, but that was something that did not come naturally to me. So I had to like spend some time. I was watching Rick Graham and all those guys whose fingers just barely move. Now, mix odd and even groupings maybe. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's kind of the next level of mixing, you know, like you could go from like your Eric Johnson, you know, where you're going from like 5s into 6s and all that kind of stuff. So, are you pressing lightly on the fretboard? Yes. That's you know, you don't have to press very hard, especially because we're playing electric guitar. Let the amp do the work for you. If you can control how hard you're pushing on the guitar, it's going to give you much more of just a dynamic control over the instrument. This lesson is a huge component in my quest to play like John. This is the lesson. So here's how you can practice something like this. I always recommend when you are first learning a lick, learn it at your own natural speed. Forget the metronome, forget everything else. Get to where you can just play through the scale, or whatever it is, or lick, sequence. Get to where you can just play through it at your own speed. Like I said, a lot of times people jump into the metronome side of stuff a little bit too quickly, and it's very discouraging because they can't keep up, but they like force themselves to, and you end up developing a lot of bad habits. So the first phase of learning something is just get it under your fingers, you know. The next phase would be incorporating, if the backing track is too fast, a metronome. So I want to show you guys how I like to practice stuff. It makes it more fun. You know, a metronome, no way around it. It's boring as all get out. Like, it's pretty awful sometimes, but it is essential. You know, technique-wise, there's probably nothing better. But what I like to do is I use the backing track so I can hear whatever I'm learning over music. You know, then you already start, you know, you're just connecting those musical nerve, you know, endings to each other. So over the backing track, again, I won't keep saying it. If you have the course and you're just tuning in because I see more people are here, you can get the tabs for what we're going over. I have 2 examples here for you. Linked down, it's all the way at the bottom of the page. Underneath the thank you, there's a tab PDF. I will have the guitar profiles for you a little bit later. And this is backing track number 3. So this is the A minor backing track. So you have this going on. I'll wait till it gets to the B section. So let's practice this. See how I'm just doing it over the backtrack, nice and slow, you know. You have to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know. So you go through that. So you can play at different speeds. Like I have the little, like, if that one's, if you get it really quick and it's, you know, easy for you. I steal so much from Robert's videos, I should probably send him a check. Now, dude, I appreciate your support all these years, Clinton. Now, if you want a little bonus challenge and dynamic, just like counterbalance of your left and right hand, take something like this. And I'll show you a little trick here. We're gonna play the lick at 2 different speeds, but halfway through the lick, I'm gonna change it. Ready? Watch. Oh, I played the wrong lick, hold on. You know, I sped up there at the end. I kind of like kicked it into high gear. You know, you just kind of like add that little like burst of speed there at the end. So I'm not playing the cleanest today, unfortunately. That's because I haven't played guitar. Actually, yesterday was the first day I played guitar in like a week. So Do I ever practice these types of sequences using double stops? You know what? I can't say that I ever have, but you totally could. You could actually practice stuff like this using different, you do your double stops, so you could maybe do it in fifths, or you could do it in, like sixth or something like that. That'd be kind of like an interesting practice idea of just kind of going through your skill. But just do the whole thing with like your, sixths or thirds, whatever you want to harmonize it with. So we're going to be hopping over to example number 2 here in just a second. So like I said before, if you have the tabs, the first one's, we're done. We're moving on. And Les Paul, thank you very much. And to anyone just tuning in, today is the last day to snag my guitar course, Rock Guitar Essential Sequences. It is linked down below for 50% off. I said it earlier, but huge shout out and thank you to you guys for liking. I was like on the fence of like a course. I'm like, like I kind of made it more for me, but I was like, maybe someone will like it. And you guys have really, really dug it. So I've loved seeing it. We're going to do a part 2, which is the first one's all based out of pentatonic. And then part 2 is going to be more 3-note per string, modal / major minor kind of stuff. Matt said, do I have any videos on palm muting? Still struggle with keeping the strings quiet when on high string. Thanks for everything. I don't think I've ever made a palm muting specific video, but I keep my hand anchored real far back here. And I don't pick my hand up. It's always resting on the strings. Even when I'm playing, a lot of times open stuff, I'm slightly muting it. I'm so there for the 3-note version. Like I said, everyone seemed to like this one so much. I'm like, oh, I already have like 100 ideas for like the part 2. So that will be happening in a few months. The next course, and like I said, we'll get to example 2 here in just a second. There's more people coming in, so I'll make sure they can get the tabs if they want them. The next course you guys are going to get is all about guitar inversions, or chord inversions. So we're going to be, all these different ways of navigating around using your triads. Oh, sorry, that's not diminished. That is. So lots of, all these different ways of doing a lot of this stuff. Really good exercises that helped me just map out these, triads, the intervals, all that stuff. So we'll have to see. You guys digging this one gave me like faith. I'm like, well, I'm gonna do another one of these that I didn't think anyone would like. Integrating 2-note per string into my pentatonics and switching between. That's a great thing to do. Time Prophet. Floor camera repair. Sorry, let's hear that beast for a minute. Right, is that Les Paul? Hey, Ron, what's up, buddy? All right, so let's move on to example number 2 here. I'm saying it again, get the tabs if you have them, because this one's a little bit tricky. Now, there's a trick with sequencing to break out of these boxy positions. And the trick is your transition note. So you have to have a very specific sequenced transition in mind. So this was our lick, right? Right there. Sorry, Bobby said, Robert, would you say it's okay to play lead bouncing between major and minor pentatonic licks? Absolutely. That's all the greats do that. Look at Page. He was constantly blurring the line between major and minor. Okay, so any other questions, I will answer them after I get through this, second part of this sequence. So, like I said, this was our lick. Now, that last note there, the 8th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is very important because we don't want to play that one there anymore. That now, we're going to move up here. And this is how you start taking these ideas, get them out of the boxes, transition out of it and get moving. It's super simple, or sorry, not super, it's super easy to get trapped in the pentatonic box. So the secret to moving anything pentatonic out of the pentatonic scale is your transition note. All you do is pick a note of the sequence that you want to transition and move it somewhere else, and then you just continue your sequence. You know, I figured this out with like Eric Johnson fives, where he'll do like 5-note sequence. You know, like that. So, but instead of staying still, his 5th note is his transition note. Hold on 1 second here. This text just came over. No worries, buddy. It was like a last minute idea, Steve. So it all clicked. I'm like, no, this is what we need to do. So here, like I said, that's our transition note. Now what we're going to do is take this idea and we're going to turn it from this. Okay? Remember all those annoying finger rolls we had to do? Good practice, but maybe not the most practical at all times. We're going to turn it into this. Oh, look how much we just covered the fretboard. Now I stop here. You could keep going. Like how I hit that super sour note. But look at what we just did. We took the same sequence and turned it into this more horizontal, diagonal lick. And it's all because of sequencing and knowing what note we need to change. I forgot what the word I was going to say. Someone said B string. I'm like, what? So let's get this first transition out. Now I'm incorporating a new technique though with sliding. So we're going to go 5 to 8 on the low E string. Get back to my quiet setting, the middle position. 5 to 8 on the low E, 5-7 on the A. Okay? So that part of the lick stays the same. I'm going to go back to 8 on the low E string, 5-7 on the A. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 on the low E string, 5-7. Now instead of going to the next string down, this is where we transition. I'm going all the way up to 10 on the A string. So we just transitioned from box 1 into box number 2 now. And now look at us, we're moving. Right there. Now I'm doing a slide. You could, if you don't like the way a slide sounds, you could pick it, go straight to the note. I like the slankiness that a slide gives it. Okay? And we're just going to pick up right where we are. We're like, hey, new area, same sequence. So we're going to go 7 to 10 on the A, 7 to 10 on the D. Now I'm going to add a little finger roll here to get back to 10 on the A. Then I'm going to go 7 to 10 on the D, sliding up to 12 on the D. So notice how, again, instead of a 3-string lick, we've taken that 3rd string out of the equation and transitioned the note up in the scale so we can incorporate some movement now. Again, no hesitation from my left to right hand on these transitions. So if they give you trouble at all, sit there and just work on getting the transition between 2 of these together. Now, right here, we're in box 3 of our A minor pentatonic. So, and then this is where the tabs kind of stop. So we're going to end it here, but we're going to go 10 to 12 on the D, 9 to 12 on the G, 12 on the D, 9, 12 on the G, sliding into a root note. We brought it on home. Oh, just got a copyright strike. So again. So there was less rolling involved. I had to roll my finger a little bit in here. I'm still incorporating concepts and ideas from the first one, but it's a whole new way of doing it. You know, and then we stop there. But to me, that one now, I'm like, oh, I like it. We're moving in a new spot. Like, we've got so many things. So let's hear it over the backing track, nice and slow. Ready? Hold on, that's not the rock tone that I want. All thin and nasally. I just combined two sequences. There was a bunch of different sequences right there. So, backing track has a slash groove with a... Yeah, it kind of does. And I'll talk about the backing track here in a second too, just because I think it always helps to learn what you're playing over as well. Where'd you get your backing tracks from? They're always great. Thank you very much, Sketch by Sketch. I make all of them. So like the one you're hearing right now is one of the 3 that you get in the guitar course. So if you guys are just tuning in, I'm just going to keep plugging it because it's what we do. Today is the last day to get the Rock Guitar Essential Sequences, link down below. We've got, like I said, it comes with 3 different backing tracks. 2 of them are in the key of E. The one you're hearing right now is from the bonus challenge section, where I want you to try to take these licks that we've done and put them in the key of A. So I was like, well, let's give you a full-blown sequence, throw in there too. So any questions over that second sequence? Because it makes it significantly more difficult than the first one because of all of the transitioning and shifting that your hand has to go through. But it opens up so much of the fretboard to where you can take, a sequencing idea and throw it into something to where it's not just this like more scale-ish kind of sound, it's just this transitioning that you have to get from one lick to another. That's cool. I love the chorus and have learned a lot from it. Thank you for the affordable price. Oh, absolutely, Sketch by Sketch. Thank you very, very much for getting it. I love the modal stuff. My only problem is I don't switch modes. You don't know which mode to use sometimes. So, when you're playing modally, it's very, very dependent on what is happening behind you. Behind the actual, chords that you're playing are going to dictate modally what you do. So like if you're doing, like something like this, you're going to be more Mixolydian. But that's because of the chords I'm playing over top of it. But that's a conversation for another day. The sliding and rolling are really going to open up my access to position board in such a cool way. Dude, Krager, it is such a cool thing. The finger rolling, and that's the thing. You take all these little things that you learn from the greats. Finger rolling I got from Angus Young and Billy Gibbons. And then the sliding transition note, I'm like, oh, that's how Eric Johnson is doing this stuff. Put them together. In this kind of like concept, I don't think it sounds like either one of them, but the ideas came from them. So that I love the idea of taking influences, but not like taking it so hardcore where it just sounds like them. But that's why I say it so much. But what's the concept behind what we're doing? When you're learning that Angus lick, what exactly are we doing there? Because I think it's example 1 or 2 from the ascending or descending section in the chorus where it's like all finger rolling, which is, it's an Angus thing, but it doesn't really sound like Angus. It's more almost like that Neil Schon lights solo kind of situation. Quentin said, someone asked, is a thicker pick better for speed? Good question. It's tough to say because a lot of like Paul Gilbert uses like a medium pick. For me, a thinner pick, there's like this weird delay that happens between the pick actually flexing that makes it hard for me to play. So it's such an individual thing. It's hard to say. For me personally, I've liked thicker picks from the very beginning. Like I was probably playing for like a month or two, and I had already switched to 1 millimeter picks, and then went to 1.5 and stuff like that. So I got away from the thin picks right away, and I've always just felt more comfortable with the thicker picks. You missed the KM? I had the KM, and I was going to play it today, but it was tuned to half step down, and it wasn't staying in tune after I tuned it up to standard, so I had to switch to the gold top. It was a last minute audible. That's why it was a little bit clunky, like I warmed up on the KM and everything, and then I turned the backing track on, and I'm like, yep, this is tuned down a half step. So any other questions about the stuff, guys? I thought that decent enough to digest in a live clinic setting. Where's the Esquire? The Esquire is right over here in its case. It's actually in the hallway right now. Great place to keep your guitar, right? Right. So I keep looking over there, but I mean to look at this camera. Great lesson. Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks for everyone who showed up, turned out to the live clinic. I know this was a last minute thing, so there's been a lot of life stuff going on, and I wasn't real sure exactly when the live stream was even going to be, if there was going to be one. Like it was the plan, but plans change, and there's just a lot of other stuff going on, and so I couldn't really promote this too much ahead of time. But yeah, we're rocking and rolling. So the backing track is really, really simple. All the backing tracks are pretty straightforward. That's the other one. But this particular one is this walking up lick that I played on the Danelectro. So that was the riff, but what made it kind of cool was the chords behind it were changing. Even though the lick didn't really change, I was going... It was actually more I was doing these chords. Then it goes into the main part. Just an A and a B section, nothing too crazy. Austin said, I'm honestly getting this under my fingers a lot quicker than I thought I would. Dude, like I said, I can't tell you how many times I would, students would come in when I did in-person lessons, want to learn this solo, whatever it was, and we would get to this part where there was this big sequence to run, and they're like, man, I'll never, it's too hard, right? Like they would ask me, it's because I would tell the students, I go, this solo is a little bit tough. Like, I don't want it to defeat you. But we would get to a lot of these things, I'm like, oh, no, actually, it's pretty simple. And then I would show it to them, and they'd be like, that's all that's happening? That's all that is? I'm like, yeah, it's just the speed part of it is the challenging part. But, sequentially, it's pretty straightforward if you can get one pattern down, and it was so motivating. And that's the way it was for me as a player. As soon as I, learned the little love gun thing or something like that, I'm like, whoa, he's just moving the same shape across the... And I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. Blew my mind. And then all of a sudden, I would hear it. It's funny how much in the beginning phases of playing, you just don't hear the stuff. And then once, you start learning the pentatonic scale, you start understanding what these sequences are, you hear it all the time. And then you're like, oh, I know what that is. And you go to figure it out, and you're like, oh, no, it's, and you have it, and you know it within a few seconds. But it just has to have that light bulb moment is all. Blew all of my minds, bro. Almost always with the 80s vibe with your playing. I dig it. Oh, thank you, Bobby. Yeah, I think it's just so ingrained, in my playing, that 80s vibe. But like I said, real quick, this course is linked down below and all that kind of stuff because today's the last day to snag it. But if you guys want some kind of insight into the courses that we're doing, we're the one I'm kind of like working on now. We're doing a part 2 of the essential sequences. It's going to be 3 note per string. This was all pentatonic, but we're also doing a chord inversion course where we're going to be kind of like just working through a scale, but you're going to learn all of these different ways of playing your chords. That really opens up the fretboard in this more triad. It's not caged, because I've never really learned the cage system. It's remnants, like there's parts of it that are similar to cage, and then the other parts are not. But and then we're gonna get the 80s course done, which I'm really excited. And then we have a riff course coming out. The riff course is done as far as like the material. It's sitting right here. I got all the pages tabbed out, and yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff ready to go. I am pumped up. I'm ready to get working on it. We just, time is kind of our enemy right now. But we're getting it. We're working through it. Winston, what do you play more on the high strings? I try to play everywhere. I always liked watching players who could just navigate the entire fretboard. So like if I'm... I wanted to be able to play freely, so I'm not so like locked into one spot. Love the sequencing course. Thank you, John. Can I catch this later? Didn't get notification from YouTube. Yeah, Thomas. So it won't be public anymore. So make sure you save it on like your watch later or something like that, because I will be setting this to unlisted. If you have the course, the link will be added and you can watch this whenever you want to. It'll be in the same section with the tabs, and then of course you have the backing track as well. And yeah, so any final questions before we wrap things up here? I think that pretty much has us covered, I hope. Thank you to everyone who has checked out the course. I see a bunch of you guys got it during the live stream. That's awesome. Thank you all so much. Greg Howe does some by barring over the strings or the width of the neck, also moving up and down. Yeah, that's the thing. There's just not a guitarist who doesn't do it, is what's cool, but it's something that isn't talked about a lot. It isn't taught a lot, and it's so motivating, So, thank you, Robert. Always so much fun to play along with you. Oh, dude, no problem, Michael. Thoughts on Greg Koch? Oh, Greg is an amazing guitar player. Absolutely phenomenal. Oh, thank you guys for your time. Graphite and Cigar said, great stuff, thanks for your time. But thank you guys for your time, because you give me a ton of your time constantly. So, yeah, well explained, got it quickly. Awesome. Thanks, Rob. You are the best. Love how much I learn from upbeat and chill live streams. Oh, no problem, buddy. Thank you very much. Keep rocking. Yeah, dude, keep rocking. I'll let the backing track play here for a second. I was trying to goof around. John Sykes licks would be cool, huh? on. Oh, Krager, rock on, dude. Thank you so much for the super chat. I am gonna bounce on out here. I'm gonna get some food. I haven't eaten yet today, so shred the blonde axe, homie. Oh yeah, it's in the case. So there's a couple of guitars I keep in their cases, but I can't get to them quickly, anyways. But yeah. Oh look, you can't even see. Can you? Firebird's just been chilling here the whole time. I almost knocked it over. It's got passed away 19th February. Rock in peace. Oh man, that's crazy. I did not know that. Welcome to the jungle. Alrighty, guys. I'm going to bounce on out of here. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I appreciate you all tuning in. What a great turnout we're doing. Let's see. What's up, Rob? Thanks for the course live stream. Yeah, dude, thank you guys all so much. If you haven't yet, this is last time you got to hear me say it. My new guitar course is linked down below. Today's the last day to snag it at 50% off. And we're going to bounce on out of here. If you have the course, you can get tabs for everything I did today in there. You'll also have access to this live stream afterwards that will be taken down from public here on YouTube. So otherwise, great explanation. I purchased the lesson. Dude, thank you. Thank you all so much. And I hope you all just have a good rest of your day. Bye, homies.